Lads, do you enjoy getting traumatised on a weekly basis? Well, neither does my co-host Neil.
People call me a victim more than a co-host.
Anyway, welcome to the Mortal Musings podcast. I'm your host, Megan. Each week, we dive into some truly dark and disturbing cases. Do you ever find yourself listening to these horrific tales and saying to yourself,
Huh? No. Huh? What the actual Why? Why did he do that? Solved it, mate. There's no need for that. They're just acting the
Our episodes include cases of serial killers, the story of a socialite that was held captive for 25 years, prison riots, wrongful executions, and scandals in the death industry. At the end of each episode, we throw in a tale of oddity. Anything from medical mishaps to the real-life Weekend at Bernie's or Mike the Headless Chicken. New episodes every Wednesday. Available wherever you get your podcasts.
And remember, here at the Mortal Musings podcast, we like to take the cases seriously, but not ourselves.
Now then, witches and beautiful souls, welcome to you and your magical ears to another lovely episode of the Bell Witch podcast with me, Swales, the friendly green witch. And today my offerings consist of a different type of Moot Loot episode with not one but two magical guests from an independent witchy biz that focuses on the dark tourism aspect of gallivanting around the country. You can really get a sense of the passion and excitement for this new upcoming adventure. A witch tour that's springing up in the north of England very soon. So do give it a listen and perhaps get your send booked on because it sounds blooming fabulous and very, very magical. I hope you are well. I have been going through so much darkness, I've got to admit. I am trying to be kind to myself and not trying to achieve too much in a short space of time. Focusing on the bread making and the podcast and my kids, the things that make me happy really. But I'm making lots of changes as the Bell Witch podcast runs up to its 3rd birthday in early March. I can't quite believe I've made 3 years of podcasting. It's just wild. Been a lot of changes. I've been designing a new logo to be less AI, to put my money where my mouth is, so to speak. I've done quite a few interviews on other podcasts. I've been on the Eye Opener Society with Gary, which was one of the first ever podcasts to look after me back 3 years ago. So I'm shouting them out. Hiya, Gary, thank you for the interview. It was amazing. It was really quick. Not used to such speedy interviews. No messing. And I was interviewed by Megan of Embracing Enchantment, which was a gorgeous little experience. And also the lovely Rachel of Pagan Portals podcast. I mean, how posh is that? So I've been a right busy witch and I've been facing my fears of taking my hands off the reins in terms of podcasting and doing something out of my comfort zone. I hope you're proud of me. In other news, I have left the lovely Darkcast network to pursue revenue from adverts. So you may have noticed there's a few more dynamic adverts in there, as well as the stuff I'll bake in from other podcasts. Do forgive me for this. It is an attempt to make a little bit of funding as things are just so expensive at the moment. It's no good. How much? I am now on the Black Cat Media Network, which is a network which helps me to make a little bit of funding from the adverts. And big thank you to Mortal Musings podcast, whose trailer you heard at the start. They were the ones that introduced me to the new network. So it's all about helping each other out. If you hate adverts and you don't want to hear them, you can absolutely join my Patreon and there will be 0 zip adverts and you can join for as little as a brew for this witch. Please don't subscribe to this moron who's ripping all the little podcasts off by creating a membership thing where he basically strips podcasts of their dynamic adverts and their funding, and then he pockets the money, which is the membership that you've paid to him. So making money from the podcaster's hard work. Proper talk about meanie. Oh my gosh, that is so mean to us that are trying to survive. So please don't subscribe to any of that nonsense and carry on helping out us little independent pods trying to survive in the big corporate world of podcast land. Welcome to another new paid subscriber, Ellen Anderson, who has joined recently as a paid member. Thank you so much for joining. This really does help me with the funding for the podcast. Words cannot describe how much I appreciate my Patreon members when they join. And you get a few perks too, such as early access, ad-free episodes, some poetry, some extra witchcraft behind-the-scenes videos, an exclusive subscriber podcast called Cauldron of Woo, where I scratch my head and think about rabbit holes that have fallen down. And also I do little meditation episodes as well. There's a recent one that's gone up that is a meditation for hard times because, my word, I needed it. So I figured you may need it too. Right, that's enough from me. I have got so much to tell you, but I'll have to hold on to it till the next one. Enjoy this unusual Moot Loot episode from the Bell Witch podcast, and I shall speak to you in 2 weeks' time.
Welcome, dear listener, to another wholesome Moot Loot episode from the Bell Witch podcast. Our guests today, one of them has over 30 years of experience in witchcraft knowledge, and they've come onto the pod to tell us about this exciting new magical collab in the form of a historic UK witch talk. May I welcome Crow Thorning and Brijitte of the Dark Atlas Tours.
Hello. Hello.
Great to have you here. Sounds like such an exciting project that's about to blossom this spring. So can you tell us what's it all about?
I'm Brijitte, as you said. I'm the founder of Dark Atlas Tours. I've curated this tour, which I have called Witch Hunt UK, which in effect is a witchy holiday. So it's a all-inclusive holiday. It includes all of the coach transfers, all of your meals, breakfast and dinner, hotels, entry fees, and also a dedicated tour manager and also dedicated tour guide in the form of Crow, which is it's an honor, absolute honor to have her involved in this project.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you. It was lovely to be invited. It was lovely to be asked to do it. And I've been up to my ears in research since we talked about it. And I think it's going to be a really valuable thing to do because it's not just, I'm a witch and I've been a witch for ages, but actually learning about how witches were perceived back in history has actually made me think about how I practice and what I do and how maybe the world now is changing about how it looks at witchcraft. And there's been a big boom in witchcraft over the last, I don't know, maybe 5 years on the internet. People got very interested in it. And I think that maybe what we're doing is we're tying that past, that history into where we are now. I think it's going to be really exciting.
And for me, I think it's very important, as just even on a feminist issue, that the witch trials were not one of the first, but were a very profound point in history where even just being a woman was demonized. And obviously there's a lot to learn. There's a really famous quote from a Spanish philosopher that says, if we do not learn from the past, we are doomed to repeat it. So Witch Hunt UK is April 29th to May the 3rd. It's over 5 days. We start in Lancaster, where we look at the famous Pendle Witch trials. And we then travel to York, the city of York, and we look at all of the pertinent sites there, as well as enjoy York as a city. It's really important for me on this tour that people feel like it's not just about education, but it's also a bit of shopping. It's also a bit of fun. So York is our fun stop before we then go to Edinburgh, and we do a deep dive into King James and what his book Demonology, how that basically put a real damper on being a woman, and that in the 17th century, and also visit his birthplace, and also do some of the other highlights that make Edinburgh such an amazing place, especially around witches and witchcraft. And like I said, it's an all-inclusive tour, and we're really excited about it.
Can I just pick up on something you said, Brijitte? Because we know that 80% of the people who were accused of witchcraft in the 1600s were women. And the majority of those women were over 40, which means from a societal point of view, they were more vulnerable. They were more likely to be widows, and so didn't have any protection, male protection, in a very patriarchal system. And so what you just said about how it's important now for women with things that are happening in the world, I think that's incredibly relevant to look at how women were perceived in the 1600s. James has the King James Bible translated into English, but it's his slant. He writes demonology. He already doesn't like women very much because he's brought up by people like John Knox, who are strict Protestants, who aren't keen on his mum because she's a Catholic. So he's already got this upbringing of being anti-woman, and that really comes to the fore in demonology. Like he talks about how we're like Eve, we're weak, and the devil can easily lure us in. So when they're looking for witches, one of the predominant criteria is being female. So that's something I'm really interested in, because as we know, a lot of witches are women, and that prejudice against us, that misogyny is still there. It's just in a different form.
I've done the tour. I've come when I was curating it. So I went to the National Museum of Scotland, and there they actually have an actual gibbet where if you look on the Instagram page, which is Dark Atlas Tours, you can see it. And it's like when you actually see these pieces of machinery, the mechanisms that they actually built in order to chop the heads off, I think it's really important to face this part of history as women, as witches. I'm not a witch, but I have full and total respect for anyone else that is a witch. I find it fascinating. And I just feel like it's incredibly important to face this part of history head on. It's been difficult to uncover the history. You can find it in books, but when you go to these places, it's not like blaring. But Pendle, I know that Crow's very familiar with. So Crow, why don't you?
Yeah. Well, I was just about to say, one of the things I've found in doing my research is a lot of villages and towns got rid of their witch trial evidence, because very shortly afterwards we get the Enlightenment and people decide that this idea of it's superstitious and crazy. They're embarrassed. Very often they want to get rid of the fact that they had these women executed or these men executed. But yeah, Brijitte, you're dead right, because I grew up 30 minutes from Pendle. So being a Pendle witch was kind of part of what got me interested in magic in the first place. You can't grow up 30 minutes from Pendle and not be interested in what happens. So we've got witches on our buses in Lancashire, like they're everywhere. And then I used to live in Lancaster as well. So I remember one of my earliest memories is going to Lancaster Castle with my dad and going on the tour and being shocked at exactly what you just said about like the gibbet, Brijitte, the Scold's Bridle, this horrible contraption that holds a woman's tongue because she nags too much. I'm a talker. I never shut up. And I was just like, all my family were like, you'd be in that? And I was like, yes, I would. And oops, they'd have to catch me first. But anyway. But also being down in the dungeons. They take you down in the dungeons on the tour and they shut the door and you cannot see your hand in front of your face. And it was terrifying. And then it was more terrifying to realise that they left people down there for ages. some of these people's eyes would be really damaged by light by the time they left those places. So for me,
If they left those places. And this
Yeah.
is where we're going. So day one, we arrive in Lancaster and we go to the castle and we actually go to the courtrooms and we go to the castle. We visit the dungeon and we're going to be literally walking the path. And one of the things really to say about this tour, one of my slogans is, let's remember these women they tried to erase. That's one of the main kind of objectives here as well, is that there were many thousands of women and some men, obviously, that they literally tried to erase, just like you were saying, Crow, that it's hard to find. So that's part of this tour as well. It's not only off the beaten path. Sometimes it's a path that's not actually even been discovered yet. And so there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it in the UK. I don't think there's anything like it in the world. Yes, you can go on your ghost tours and you can go on your witch walks and things like that. But this is an actual holiday where you commit yourself to 5 days of learning, discovering, making new friends, and enjoying.
And I think it's going to be relevant to our practice as well, what witches do now. Because when you look at some of the things that these women are being accused of, they're very often things like sympathetic magic and charms, which are still part of modern witchcraft today. People are still using sympathetic magic to have an object that affects another object, or using a rhyme or a charm or herbs and things like that. So for me, it was really interesting to see how what they are accused of is reflected in my practice. And I think that's something I'd be interested in sharing with the people who come on the tour. Like, how much of that stuff is the stuff we do? And this idea about that you can use an object to affect another object, that's really embedded in our idea of magic. And so it's interesting to see that even though most witches aren't accused of practicing with Satan and all of that kind of thing, we're still sometimes doing the same things that they were accused for. So for me, I think the people who come on the tour might get a deeper idea of a magical practice as well as the history of things.
And how incredible that it survived. All of these things from the 17th century and before, but also that they tried to erase it. A witch genocide. They tried to take out anyone that mentioned the word magic, even that had a pet. Like you can see, we've done Crow and I have done a lot of work on the Instagram page. So I really would encourage people to go on there because we're looking at parts of history, different aspects. We talk about the familiars, where if you had a pet and you spoke to it, then you would probably be a witch and therefore you'd probably die. And so would your pets. Although it is slightly a morbid tour, but also it's super educational. And I think it's also important, like I said before, on a sort of just to be educated as a woman and how much we've also just been through, witches aside, just as women, we've been through history and how we've all been able to stay strong and stay powerful. So yeah, but men are welcome too. We'd love to have a couple of guys.
Oh yeah, I was going to say that about the things we've been doing on Instagram, like going through the criteria that could get you accused of witchcraft. It's massive, it's broad, like all of us are really in trouble because if you don't talk to yourself, then you've got a weird mole somewhere. And if you haven't got a weird mole somewhere, you've probably had a beef with your neighbour or you've shouted at somebody while you were driving. You might have a pet, you might live alone. All of these things were so tenuous and yet used against people. So it's something that's relevant for everybody, really. It shows how when you get a group of people in control who have particular, very strong, limited ideas, that people who think outside of those ideas are in trouble. They're in the firing line. So for me, it's been quite interesting to go, oh, yeah, apart from the fact that I've got blue hair, and so I would have been on that scaffold in about 20 seconds. Like, apart from that, that's not even counting the weirdness of me. It's just things that everyday people do, chatting to yourself, that kind of thing. It's really interesting.
Yeah, and also I love the idea of the witch pricker, because that, I think, is probably where the word prick has come from, which we all know one or two of those in our lives. And the witch pricker was the person that would go around and would look at a mole on someone's skin and then prick it. And if it didn't bleed, they were a witch. Now, what they didn't say to the accused and the people that were in witness is that the witch pricker would have a needle that would be retractable. So it would go in and obviously it wouldn't be doing it. So yeah, like it wasn't fair.
And an audience. You'd have an audience.
An audience.
you'd have a people standing around while somebody took your clothes off and poked you with a stick. Like, none of us want that, do we? None of us are signing up for that. But in a time where, women were taught to be modest, the whole thing is about being covered and all of that kind of stuff, to be undressed in front of people and it's mortifying. We hear now, don't we, about authorities, I don't know, strip searching people and things like that. And we're all like, that's disgraceful. And we imagine what that would be like for us. But this was going on like on a massive scale. It was a lot bigger than we've got now. Yeah. But I'm excited about meeting the people for the course. I'm excited about the people who are going to come along and be interested. And I'm really excited about our storytelling in the evening, like where we can discuss what we've seen during the day, talk about the history of it, talk about our experience of it. I'm interested in maybe even what these places feel like.
To read about history, but then to walk through the actual places is another thing. And so I just want to quickly just go over the tour very quickly for the listeners so they know. I'm just reading this from the website, which is darkatlastours.com. We arrived day one, we arrive in Lancaster, and we do our deep dive into the Pendle witch trials. That includes going into Lancaster Castle, the Lancaster Museums, looking at the judges' lodgings, everything from the domestic interiors to actually walking the actual path. And obviously, Crow is going to be our expert, not only on the witchcraft bit of that, but also on the geography of that, because that's her.
Yeah. I'll point where my mum and dad live out for everybody.
Pop in for a cup of tea. And then day two, we're on the Lancaster Hills. So bring your walking boots. Let's have a nice hike outside. Let's really just join together, have a great time together doing that. And we're going to go.
And that's following the trail of the witches, isn't it? It's following the Lancashire Witches Trail, which is brilliant. I love that. That's such a good way of immersing yourself in what happened.
Yes. And exactly. And we're going to learn all about Alice Nutter, who was probably the most famous accused woman of that sort of time around that area. We're going to look at the Pendle Heritage Center, look at all the exhibitions there. Again, all of this is part of the price. You don't have to pay anything once you sign up for the tour and you're there with us. Then we get into the coach. We have a long drive after that. So no, sorry, we stay at our hotel. And by the way, the hotels are all 4-star hotels, really nice hotels. Lancaster for days 1 and 2. Then we hit the road and we travel to York. And we discover all of the witchcraft folklore, and then we take in, like I said, the stunning sights of this ancient walled city. This is one of my favorite cities in all of England. We go to the York Museum and Gardens. We have some time on the Shambles and the Snickle Alleyways, which we can hang out and just do some shopping. There's some really cool stuff. I don't know if have you been to York, to the Shambles, you guys?
Yeah, I know it well.
Okay, so
did you know? Just because I'm an ex-English teacher, Snickleway, a snickle is an eel. So a snickleway is a gap, an alleyway that only an eel can get down. It describes something really small and thin. Yeah, it's an old English word, so it's still called the same thing.
Fabulous. For those of you guys who are listening that have not been to York, this is also the street that Diagon Alley was in, that J.K. Rowling took as influence for Diagon Alley. And it is just the coolest place. And lots of cool witchy stuff that you can buy and see. And then we're going to do a Witches in History walking tour as well. And we're also, this is really interesting, I love cheese. Do you guys love cheese?
Yes.
Okay, that's a big yes. Who doesn't love cheese? So we have an option where we're going to be going into a store called I Love Cheese and doing an afternoon cheese. Instead of afternoon tea, we're doing afternoon cheese. And
that's
again,
amazing.
That's going to be another.
I'm going for that. I'm just going for that. That's it now. Now you've said that, that's it.
For the cheese.
The cheese is
in it for the cheese.
Oh my God. A shout out to Cordy and the guys at Afternoon Cheese at Love Cheese, because she's put together this special afternoon cheese for us. And again, so that's optional. It'll be a little bit extra, not much. And it'll be another time to just have some fun and chat with Crow and myself about everything that we've learned. And just, it's all about coming together as well as a group. I feel like-minded people. It's so important when you go on holiday that you're especially practicing witchcraft and having such an alternative lifestyle that you want to sometimes be around people that are totally get you. Then we're in York overnight. And then we go to Edinburgh. Again, absolutely beautiful. It's a 4-hour journey, but don't worry. We're going to sing songs. We're going to have fun on the coach. And we go to the National Museum of Scotland and we see all of the documents. We learn about the reign of King James VI, the author of demonology. We get entry into Edinburgh Castle, and we have another our dinner party for that night, for our last night, is going to feature almost like a little film of what we've done all for the whole tour, and we'll have a look at that together, and we're going to have a big pizza party. And that's also going to be I've identified the Hoxton Hotel, which is a brand new Hoxton Hotel in Edinburgh. So this is not it's not shabby, girls and boys. It's going to be a nice tour. You're going to be taken care of. You're going to learn a lot. And I think it's an important cultural experience.
Like you said, I don't think there's anything else that is like this in the UK. No. You got your tours, but they tend to be just like an hour, 2 hours.
Yeah.
So this really is unprecedented, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. And if this one goes well, I'm hoping I can do Witch Hunt France, Witch Hunt Sweden, because the witch hunts didn't just happen, obviously.
Oh, good grief, no.
Yeah, so we're focusing on this one, and hopefully we'll be able to do more. So on the website.
You're answering all the questions before I asked them.
That's isn't it?
It is very good.
From the shadows of the coven to the lips of the living, VE Cosmetics conjures up a beauty so good. It must be witchcraft. Vegan and cruelty-free for those who walk between the worlds. VE Cosmetics. Grab a discount with my affiliate code BELLWITCH at the checkout. BELLWITCH, all one word, for a 10% discount on your entire order. And a little tip for this witch.
I wanted to ask you about the locations. Was it a challenge to pick the locations, or is there lots that you wanted to include and you just didn't have enough time?
Yeah, I had to. I mean, there was this sort of the idea of looking at Witchfinder General and that area. I couldn't fit it in. It would just been too much to go all the way to Essex and all. But I just felt like the most important thing for me was Pendle. And I really wanted to start at Pendle and to end at Pendle.
Because Pendle witches, that's the thing that people know about. And I found out that if you were going to see a play in the 1700s and it had witches in it, they would have sounded like me. Because witches, everybody thought Lancashire as soon as they thought witches. So I was laughing at thinking witches coming on stage like, hey up, love. But isn't that interesting? That was like part of the criteria was, oh, you're a northerner, you're from over that side. And the other thing I was going to say was maybe when we do this again, Brijitte, we might want to look at other places. Newcastle's really big for witch trials, and that's something I think would be interesting to people. So, you know, like when we're talking about exploring these places, like, yes, you can go to Lancaster and you can do a witch tour in Lancaster, but that witch tour is not going to take you then to York, and it's not going to then take you to Edinburgh and to explore those things. And I think what we're doing, like you said, it's unique in that we are tying these stories together. We are making the stories of Demdike and Chattox and Agnes Sampson, we're making them all link up, and I think that gives us a real view of what it was like. We're really delving into it, I think.
Yeah, and Crow's done a lot of work on this sort of the educational side, the cultural side,
I'm such a geek.
The historical side, and I've done a lot of work on making the guests feel welcome, having everything running smoothly, and all of that stuff. So really, what are you waiting for? If you are,
it's going to be great.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the dates that we have now are the 29th of April, and then we end on May the 3rd. Okay, so I'm hoping that those dates are convenient for your listeners and that they can think about just giving me a ring, or my phone number is on the website, which is darkatlastours.com, or you can email me at hello@darkatlastours.com. And really, I only require a small deposit towards the tour, and then we can reserve your space and we can go full steam ahead.
I could feel your passion. It's amazing.
Yeah. I'm really keen. I realised what a geek I was. I realised what a geek I was when I started doing the research. My poor family know more about the witch trials than they ever wanted to now. As I'm constantly going, did you know? Anyway, so yeah. It's all waiting to come out. That's what it is. It's all waiting to come out.
Yeah, good. Can't wait to get on this tour with you, Crow. I think it's going to be so fun.
It is, and it's so important to learn, like you say. It's very dark though, isn't it? And there's going to be some positive witchy stuff in there as well. It ain't just going to be
totally.
doom and gloom.
The thing is, it is a dark history, right?
Yeah.
But doing it in a group together changes that dynamic than doing it on your own. We've got people that we'll be able to share how we felt about things, and we'll be able to work with each other about how we felt about stuff. So it's not like doing it on your own where it could be really depressing. Do you know what I mean? I think the fact that the community part of it, for me, is really important. I think that's a massive part of it, that we're going to go and do this together, and that Bridget's actually set aside time for us to sit down and process it and discuss it and make it relevant. It's also happening over Beltane. And so I will be doing something myself personally for Beltane. So if people come on the course and they want to do something, you want to do something together, then what a better way to celebrate like our witchcraft than doing it together, even though we are looking at people who were persecuted for it. I think it could be, maybe we could honour those people while we do our Beltane ritual.
That would be amazing. And again, we're trying to balance it out. So there's a lot of the fun elements, the dinner parties, the shopping. You got a lot of free time just to explore the cities as well. But yeah, so it should be a good mix of just learning about that history, and then also having some fun as well, and hanging out with your friends and making new friends. I think that's
cool. I think it's going to be something people remember. You know, the things you do in your life that you think, I really have a strong memory of that, and it really made me learn something and connect with people and things like that. I really feel it's going to be that kind of thing.
Friends for life, maybe. You never know.
Never know.
There'll be some magic on the coach.
Yes. I'm already thinking.
I was just going to say, are you going to do any spells or anything while you're traveling?
Well, when things happen, when we come across something, it might inform something we want to do together. Do you know what I mean? It might be something, we might experience something, and we might even have a go at some practical magic in the same way that these women were accused of doing. I'm not conjuring the devil, and I won't be having sex with him. And I'm just going to say that now. I'm putting it out there now. I'm sorry if you're listening, old horny.
Sorry,
that will
devil,
not be happening.
ain't gonna happen.
I've vetoed that already. That's not going on. But apart from that, I'm up for anything.
There'll be no penises in trees.
No, none of that. And don't take the big one because it belongs to the priest. Do you remember that part of the story? I love that story. She's collected the penises. They're in a tree. Some guy goes, come on, I need that back. She goes, okay, you can climb up there and you can pick one, but don't take the big one because it belongs to the priest. Absolutely. Brilliant witch humour. Just wonderful. I love it. I know. But that's the thing, isn't it? Like how to frighten a bloke. Oh, they'll take it away and they won't give it back. It is, isn't it? It's absolutely primal fear. And I want to know why they kept him in a tree. Just seems really impractical. Do you have to keep climbing up there to put the next one in? Do you just log them from the bottom? Kind of hope. I don't know.
I mean, can you imagine the birds in the tree?
Yeah. What the hell? Not again. She's not had it again, is she? Yes. Sorry, I know. But when you read some of these things that they were accused of doing, like one of my favourite things is they're all accused of having sex with the devil, mainly because the blokes doing it are pervs. Right?
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, did you have sex with the devil? And by the point you've been tortured, you'll just tell them anything. But one of my favourite things is nearly all of these women, as a small act of rebellion, say, yes, I did. And he's better than any man I've been with. I'm in trouble, but I'm still going to get my one last dig in. Because you would. And there's so many ridiculous, silly things about the witch trials as well, like penises in a tree, for example, or some crazy stuff. But yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. We won't be practicing the crazy things.
He's in a devil's bumhole.
Yeah, we're not doing any of that business. There's no obscene kissing going on or anything like that. Thanks very much. Not my thing.
God. It's just daft, and you have to laugh, otherwise you'd cry, wouldn't you? I tried to read that book, that Witches of Scotland, How to Kill a Witch.
Did it enrage you?
Oh, it was hard reading. I barely got through it. You feel it, can't you? Like, in your soul.
Yeah. For me, it's that the way that the system is crafted so that there's not really a way out of it.
I know some of the tests for witches, right? No one would survive it.
Yeah.
So it was just a way of killing women, whether you're a witch.
Yeah, it's the Monty Python sketch, isn't it? She turned me into a newt. And everybody looks at him and he goes, I got better. The ridiculous idea about swimming people, just tests like, say, the Lord's Prayer, like when you're under a load of pressure and you've been terrified and sometimes they've threatened your kids. Like, that sort of stuff is a ridiculous measure of what somebody's been doing. And it's taken as this is completely legal and okay and normal. And I think it's good to look at this stuff and go, yeah, okay, we don't think that anymore. That's good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
We have come a long way, but obviously we still do live in a patriarchal society. The stuff that's going on in America, I'm originally from America, is literally doing my head in. And I think that, it's just so important to understand what has happened in history and how important it is for us to be really aware. Especially about what can happen if men and laws and these sorts of things are left unchecked, but have fun at the same time and learn a lot. So, yeah,
I think it's going to be great. I'm really excited.
Who is your customer then? Who would you say this tour's for?
Brijitte, you might be better at answering that.
I think it's anyone that's really into walking tours. Walking, like the ghost tours that you see in every single mainly major sort of tourist cities in the UK. Somebody that is interested in cultural history, sociology, feminism, all of these people that go to the London Dungeon or the York Dungeon. There's a little bit of a dark kind of attraction. Anyone that's into sort of something called dark tourism that deals in the parts of history that are slightly darker. Anyone that's into dark history. And of course, all of the practicing witches out there in the UK.
Yeah, people interested in the history of magic, all of that kind of stuff.
Yes. So I think that's our audience. And I'm really looking forward to meeting our audience and to, engaging with them and having fun and learning with them. Because for me, it's going to be also a learning experience as well. I've curated the tour, but I don't know. Crow is a never-ending fountain of knowledge on all of these things.
I'm so annoying. I'm great on a pub quiz.
But no, seriously, so if you really want to learn and really understand many aspects of the witch hunt trials and also that time in history.
It's adults only.
I'm not sure it's a good idea to bring the kids.
I don't know whether children need to know about this stuff yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As a mum, I'm not sure that I would want a broad overlook of it. Yeah, that's one thing. But we're going to be going to these places and looking at some of the things that people used and all that kind of thing. I think that might be a bit upsetting.
Yeah. So I think
it's a bit upsetting for us, really, sometimes.
18 and over, I think.
Yeah.
So, I want to come.
Oh, come.
Oh, that'd be brilliant. That'd be so cool.
I'd have to bring my kids, wouldn't I? That's why I was asking.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
We need a babysitter.
Maybe we can have the witches crash.
Yeah, I'm going to say Columbus crash.
Yeah. Then it really will be like a school trip.
It really will be.
I know, Crow, you say you've been doing a lot of research. Would you be able to give the listeners a little taste of one of the places you're going, or a little story or folklore?
It's interesting with the Pendle witches in particular, because that's happening in 1612. And like last October, I did 2 lessons on witchcraft in Macbeth, and how the witchcraft in Macbeth is a direct relation to what James is writing in demonology, what is happening in the witch trials. Like Shakespeare's obviously gone down the list in demonology and gone messing about with corpses, tick, messing about with a familiar, tick, all of that kind of stuff. So I found it interesting with the Pendle witches that one of the things that they're accused of is meeting together in the Malkin Tower. And it's interesting because Malkin is a Lancashire word, manky. It means grotty, means not very clean. And not, because, it's a manky tower, basically. And I know that you know what that means, right? Oh, that tower's a bit manky. But it's interesting because they're poor people, right? That's why their tower's manky. It's not that they don't clean up. It's just that they don't have very much. But one of the things they're accused of is talking about doing something to break their relatives out of Lancaster Castle. And one of the things that's suggested is using gunpowder to go in and blow it up. This is just after the gunpowder plot. And I was really interested in the idea that this idea of treason and the gunpowder plot also was then woven into the idea of what the Pendle witches were doing to put the cherry on the cake. The stories like one of the accused Pendle witches, works for a guy in a mill who refuses to pay her. She does all this work and he won't do anything. So she goes to talk to him about it, and she takes her mum with her, right? Because her mum is a well-known character who's a bit scary. And because her mum is a well-known character, when the guy who's walking away has a bit of a trip up and a fall, now they've cursed him. So it's interesting for me to look at what they were accused of. So the things that the Pendle witches are accused of, having a familiar, like having a dog that lives in the house with you, like lots of people would be in trouble for that now. The idea that they had to pay for their own incarceration. They were expected to pay for the food that they were given in prison. They were expected to pay for that accommodation. And some of them stayed in prison afterwards because they couldn't afford it. It's interesting that there's an economic side of it as well. So for me, the Pendle witches are a story about poor people and people who maybe have got some kind of power in their little local village. The Forest of Pendle, like it's the middle of nowhere and it's dense and it's not like it is now. There's loads and loads of trees. Nobody knows where it is. It's the perfect setting for something like this. But they're forgotten people, and it makes sense that when they get accused of being a witch, some of them actually embrace this. Some of them, Janet Device, she's only tiny. She starts saying, yeah, my mum's a witch and my grandma's a witch and they're witches. And she points people out in the courtroom. And all of that comes together when we think about community and how we think about like our neighbours on our street now and how we might talk about them or look at what they're doing. So for me, the biggest part of my research was actually being able to apply it to where we are and how we live, and being able to see people being accused of something that you can see that it might be the same thing now. But I did particularly like the idea of the tower being manky. That was quite a good one. Yes. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. So there's so much to learn. We start in Lancaster. So all you have to do is get yourself to Lancaster on April the 29th, and and then we end there as well. Or you can obviously go on if you're traveling, say from the States or somewhere else, then you can stay in Edinburgh if you'd like to for a couple of other nights and go from there. But that's Witch Hunt UK. Yeah. That's the gist. Did you have any other questions for us?
I want to say I just love that it's Yorkshire as well. It's Northern and Yorkshire's in there.
Definitely.
So much happens down south, so it's nice that we.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. I think that's really important because when you do, like Brijitte said, we were going to look at the Witchfinder General, but actually to condense it, the best place to condense it in Britain is that Northern England and Lowland Scotland. That's a really good location to be looking at this kind of stuff. Yeah, and I think it's great that it's not all like down south. Definitely.
Yeah. Whoop, Yorkshire.
Yeah. The north in it.
Oh my gosh. If anybody's listening now and they're like, I want to go, do go, because it'll be amazing. And if it's dead properly, there'll probably be more, won't there?
Oh yeah. Well, if this one goes well, sure, we're going to introduce more dates in 2026, 2027. And again, like I said, if this one goes well, we'll also be looking at Witch Hunt France, Witch Hunt Sweden, Witch Hunt Germany. And so it's www.darkatlastours.com, and you can just go and look at the different tours I have, which also I do Albania, and I have something called Italy Like a Local, if any of you guys are interested in that one. But mainly this Witch Hunt UK tour is most excited about, because I just really feel like it's a really important thing to look at in history and culturally, and it's going to be fun.
I want to go.
Damn.
This is where you start finding out what your family are doing around the end of April in case they could have your children. That's what it is. Quick ring around now.
It'd be so good. It was so good.
Around, try and get. It's only 5 days, and actually, you can just
We're dreadful, aren't we? It's only 5 days.
Yeah, 4 nights, 5 days, and it's not so far away from you now, so it's not going to be a big kind of jump for you to go. So anyway, look, you should come for sure. And I hope many of your listeners are inspired to come as well. It'd be a really fun thing to do and important, I think.
Yeah, very important. Especially now with the state of the world and what's going on. I think it's really relevant, isn't it?
Relevant. Yeah, completely. Yeah. It's like the witch finders. They're self-appointed. Nobody's given them that job. They're just blokes who don't like women very much and fancy poking them with pins. There's definite parallels in the world, is all I will say. There's definite parallels. Yeah.
We're not going to mention Brijitte or any people, but
But we are.
we are. Yeah. Seriously. Come on, girls. Let's learn about where all of this stuff, because it is all a basic echo of what is happening today. And it's also, some of it is sanctioned by King James Bible. He only translated the Bible. The Bible is way older than his translation.
And he translated it to an agenda. There's that whole argument about thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. Is that the word witch or is that the word poisoner? And did he want the word witch in there, like very deliberately? So it's propaganda. It's personal propaganda from James, definitely.
There's another whole layer of stuff, and that's why we need 5 days. Yeah, because there's so many layers of how all of this stuff is pertinent to today, how King James infiltrated the Bible, where he comes from, what his agenda was, demonology. You can see I have a little reel on the Instagram about demonology, very short, but important, really important.
I think it's very telling, and I think I said this to you, Brijitte, when we chatted. It's very telling that James writes 2 books, one about demonology and one about the dangers of tobacco. Yeah. And we only paid attention to one of those books. And I think that's very telling about society, isn't it? That the one that was about persecuting women and poor people, like they jumped on that one, but they're putting away the pipe, nobody was quite as keen. And I think that's really interesting, especially about James.
Yeah, America was basically based and funded on tobacco farmers. They couldn't do that because, again, it's like the tech billionaires. It's
all about money. Exactly. It gets to that point. It gets to the oh my god point. Yeah,
oh my god, are we living in some kind of simulation where the whole thing just keeps repeating but has different? Anyway, let's not go there.
I know. I didn't even know there was a book about tobacco.
The dangers of tobacco. Yeah, he was really anti. Yeah, so witches and smoking, it's like kind of niche, isn't it, really? Like,
how did you two meet each other then?
We met through a mutual friend, didn't we?
We met through a mutual friend who during COVID, I did a Reiki, deep dive in Reiki. And I ended up, during COVID, getting my 2nd degree in Reiki, which was pretty astonishing because I couldn't actually practice on anyone, obviously. And my Reiki master, Arya, introduced us. So I said to Arya, I'm looking to do this tour. I really need someone who is going to be great with people, who's going to be educated, who understands the educational side of it, who understands the historical. And she said, I know exactly who you should call. And so it was Crow. And
and I know Arya because Arya did my Witchcraft and Magic 101 course. And I also work with I teach her about the runes. So we have that background of teacher and student, but now we are friends. So when she said to me, my friend Bridget's thinking about doing a witch tour and she's asked, do I know anybody who would be interested? I was like, that sounds absolutely brilliant and exciting. And it's something I would want to go on. I'm excited about learning. I don't want anybody to think that I won't be doing any learning while we're there, because I definitely will. Something I really believe in is that everybody's a teacher and everybody's a student. So, I'm going to be learning from the people on the course. So I was really excited when you asked me to do this. And then I just went away and got all the books out.
And I was excited that you said yes, because I can't think of anyone else to guide this tour.
That's the appreciation, Brijitte, mutual appreciation.
That's the universe providing right there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, completely. Yeah.
My job is easy. It's just like operations, but the research, obviously, and curating it, there's so much more to it than that.
Fab. Coming up to 50 minutes. Is there anything you want to add?
Get yourself to the website. and join it. If you have any questions, if you have any concerns, any mobility issues, any dietary issues, like anything, please feel free to just reach out. And even if it's something you feel like you can't afford right now, but really want to come, we can work something out. Don't let anything stop you. Don't feel like it's something you can't do because ... Really just let's have a chat about it. And we'd love for you to join us. It's going to be a small tour. I can't take more than 10 to 12 people. So it's intimate, it's fun. And hopefully you'll get learn a lot and hopefully gain some lifelong friends.
You have been listening to the Bell Witch podcast, created with love and magic by me, Swales, the Friendly Green Witch. Big thank you to my lovely guest for this episode. And thank you to you, dear listener, for choosing the Bell Witch podcast to fill your ears. If you have a witch business, an independent podcast, a witchy topic you'd like me to talk about, or a trailer you'd like me to play, reach me on the Bell Witch podcast at yahoo.com. I love to hear from you, and I love to support you, and I love to celebrate other witch businesses, because there indeed is magic in sharing audiences amongst podcasts and other spiritual businesses. If you would like to show the Bell Witch podcast some love, you can leave ratings and reviews wherever you listen to your podcasts, as those stars really do help the show to shine. Join the Bell Witch podcast on Patreon for bonus content, early access and behind the scene videos. Until next time, stay magical, witches.